As part of Ferrari Fridays, William Ross from the Exotic Car Marketplace will be discussing all things Ferrari and interviewing people that live and breathe the Ferrari brand. Topics range from road cars to racing, drivers to owners, as well as auctions, private sales, and trends in the collector market.
Hello everyone, and I'm back. So I've been a couple weeks, but hey, I'm back. I was doing a little traveling, and today's episode is what we are going to talk about in my travels. Because I was down at Amelia Island. For one, went to the Concours. Two, went to a bunch of auctions. So we're going to kind of discuss the auctions. We're going to discuss the Concours itself. This is year 2 that Haggerty has taken over. So, you know, obviously they're kind of gaining some ground, but you know, there's a few other events they got going on, but I just appreciate everybody listening. And like I said, hey, you know, share this, put it out there in the world. Let's try and spread the word, and let's try and grow this as much as we can. And we got some exciting stuff coming up. I don't know if any of you have gone onto the website, the Ferrari Marketplace.com, or if you go to exoticcarmarketplace.com. We have some exciting things coming up. We're partnering up with a few other entities that I do a bunch of stuff with, and we're going to kind of create this big, I want to say conglomerate, but big media type company that, you know, parent company, oversee everything. We're kind of combine all this stuff and help everybody out. We're going to try and create more content, more articles, you know, have a lot more fun with this and see what we can do with everything. And from exotics to classics to garage style, you know, people, you know, that's big thing that's happening now is, you know, people always have, you know, personalized their home garage, but you know, the big thing now is everyone's purchasing these garage condos or getting these, you know, garage condos at these private racetracks. And if you're the 1% or whatever that can afford to do that, God bless you. Some of these ones, I mean, they're doing some fantastic stuff, and these private tracks and whatnot are popping up all over the country. I don't know about over the world. I don't know about over in Europe and whatnot, but I'm sure they are too. But I know over here in the States, there's a bunch popping up here in the next couple of years. There's going to be quite a few opening up. I know there's the one down in Columbus, Ohio, the Resolute. Down in Tennessee itself, there's actually 2. There's a really nice one. If you go down to our website, you'll see it's Flat Rock Motor Club. They have that's going to be an outstanding facility. There's one down in Florida. I believe it's just outside Ocala, something like that. Good friend of mine, Mike Pipitone, is kind of helping out there, heading up some sales and marketing for them. So check that one out. I'll have, you know, more info I can get, I will pass it along to everybody. So, but anyway, let's dive into this. So my travels, they started on Tuesday of Amelia Island weekend, or whatever you want to call it. So on Tuesday, I traveled down to Atlanta very early in the morning. Caught one of the first flights here out of Cleveland and got down there. And I actually met up with my good friend Mike. He lives in the Atlanta area, and we went and checked out the Porsche Experience Center down there. So something I highly recommend. Now I will say this: there's an awesome restaurant that overlooks the test track or whatever you want to call it. Now the food I had this salad with this chicken breast on it, and the chicken breast basically was like shoe leather. I don't know if the chef was having an off day with mine food or what, but from what I've told, you know, the other stuff's pretty good. You know, you get a big heap of portions of it. The Wiener Schnitzel or the chicken schnitzel or whatever the heck it's called, it's highly recommended. And you get a big, huge ass piece of meat on your plate. But I will say this, it is not cheap to eat there. For 2 people, especially if you're having a couple of cocktails or even if you have 1 beer each or something like that, with tip and everything, you're going to be pushing probably, if you get main meals, close to probably $80 to $100, you know, with including tip. So, I mean, it is not cheap, but you can't beat the view. So, but anyways, they have some really cool things. You know, it's not like, there's not anything crazy. It's not like this massive museum, but what they have is they have the Heritage Center, as they call it. I definitely recommend, hey, when you go there, it's free to go. It doesn't cost anything. I don't know if you have to set up an appointment or what, you know, to schedule to go through there and do everything. but you can just do the tour and walk around. And they have this really cool wall. It's got all from the beginning to current day of all these, like, what is it, 1/18 scale models, 1/14 scale models of all the race cars and cars that Porsche has built throughout the years. So basically starting from the first one all the way to the most recent one. So I have this big wall with on there. If you check out my YouTube channel, I got some great video from being there. But so you go in that. They have a cool gift shop. Now, one thing they have, and why I didn't test it out, I don't know. We were going there. I was waiting on Mike and told him, I said, hey, you got to come back and check it out, but I didn't do it. But they have this awesome simulator room that has got, I think it's like 6 or 7 simulators that you can test out and try out different tracks, everything like that. You can race against your buddy or just race against yourself, try and set best time against ones that have already people have already gone. So I want to say it was like $50 for like 30 minutes or for 45 minutes. So it was a good deal actually for what you got to do. You got to spend a lot of time doing it, so actually it wasn't that bad of a price to do it. But for whatever reason, it's kind of, I didn't go back and do it. Why, I don't know, but hey, that's just me. So, but you can test it out. They have a cool little gift shop. Again, stuff's not cheap. They got some really cool merchandise. It's not a lot. It's not a big gift shop. It's not like you're going to have like Porsche overload. But they have some really cool stuff. But again, hey, the stuff is not cheap. You can always hit up the sales rack. They have some stuff that's usually on sale. They had some like cool shirt stuff like for like $30-$40, so it wasn't too bad. But majority of the stuff was you're closer to 100 starting at, and then go on up. So they have watches, all this kind of jazz. So jackets, shirts, t-shirts, button-down shirts, polo shirts, everything like that. So now the one thing I was kind of surprised is they did not have that many newer model cars. The 2023 models on the floor. They had a couple. But normally they have more, but I don't know if they're just in a transition or what, but they were lacking new model cars on the floor area where you come walking in at. So I was a little bit surprised by that. Now they also have this really cool interactive wall that kind of goes through the history and stuff. You pull stuff up, pictures, videos, stuff like that. That was really, really neat. They have this really cool sculpture up in the air. Like if you stand underneath it, you look up, it's a kind of a cutout of a 911. So it's really neat stuff. But again, the one cool thing was the Heritage Centers where they got all the cool older cars, race cars, 959, 917, 904, 908. Trying to remember off the top of my head some of the stuff they had at 959, older 911s, 911 RS. They had a Carrera GT. So they had some really, really cool stuff. But again, not massive. Not like they had hundreds of cars there. I think they had maybe 20 cars, 15 to 20 cars there total. But, significant stuff. And, had kind of displayed very nice, everything like that. So it's really neat to check out. But, I mean, the thing you're going there to do, and again, it's, on the cheap side, but hey, it's an experience. I just didn't have time to do it that day, is you go take a car out and test track. Now, they have various different levels of cars you can try out. And so the price varies. It starts, I think, at like $300. And you actually get a lot of time. You get like 45 minutes or something like that, or over an hour, if not maybe a little bit longer. So, I mean, you get your values worth, money worth, and you can just do as many laps as you want. So it's just time-wise. So they have the one track going, on the outside, and they have like a skid pad. They have the other one where it kind of kicks you sideways, the wet track. So they have really, really cool stuff. And like I said, you can do everything from a Boxer or a Cayman, all the way up to a GT3. So, I mean, it goes all the way up, a Turbo S. So, I mean, you can have a lot of fun and do it. So, now they also, it's opening up April 1st, so it's coming up. They actually expanded the track, basically doubled the size of the track. So, now I don't know if that means they're going to double the amount of spaces that are open that you can go and do this now, because when I was there, it seemed like you could probably just walk in and just get hey, can I do some driving, and you go do it. Now normally they say, hey, you got to call ahead, set up your time, make a register for it and everything like that, make a reservation. And so I don't know, because from looking at it, I wouldn't say it was identical, but it was pretty close to. It was very, very similar to what the current track offers. Now the design and the layout, they have a cool carousel turn that mimics the Nürburgring carousel, which is really neat, and it's got more undulations and more heights and stuff like that to it. So it's really, really neat track. So again, I don't know if they'll let you do it where you can do the long course where it take you, it'd be a couple miles long, or hey, they're just split in half where they can double the amount of people that are out on the track doing it. So again, it's all about the almighty dollar, right? So, but anyways, I know when kind of just aside, I know we're talking about Porsches and Ferrari podcast, but I'm just telling you about my ventures down at Amelia Island. So we checked it out and did that. So that was a lot of fun. It was cool. We kind of hung out there for the day. But then from there, we went to check out one of these cool, there's a lot of cool little dealers down there in Atlanta because obviously Atlanta's a massive market. I mean, Atlanta's big. And so if you've ever been to Atlanta and tried to drive around Atlanta, it takes you a long time to get anywhere because it's pretty massive. I mean, it's spread way out. So, I mean, it's pretty damn big. And they have a lot of construction going on, so it kind of takes you a little bit to get anywhere. But anyways, we went to check out this other dealer, and kind of, kind of like I say, a boutique dealer. Because you go in, there's Milner Motor Cars, and you walk through, and it's appointment only to go in. So fortunately, Mike, knows the people there, so we were able to just kind of go in. He called ahead. So yeah, it's not like you just walk in off the street and just hey, I want to look at some cars. Anyway, so you walk in the showroom floor there. I mean, they got I think 6 cars on the floor there, maybe only 5. So they had a couple, Testarossa 308 or 328. So they, and an old Model T, which is a really cool car. They had their old Model T racer. But like I said, they didn't have much thing. But then they had a massive, shop, doing service work. And from what my understanding is something they just really started expanding into is doing the service work due to the fact is, hey, the demand's there. Hey, and you make a lot of money doing service work. And if you got the guys that know what they're doing, it's a great thing to get into to service those cars. So I mean, you can charge you charge $100 some an hour just in labor, and then you got your parts and everything like that. So, but the cool thing is, out back they had a lot more cars that they had available for sale. But the owner had his own private vault, as he called it, collection in his barn out back, garage, whatever you want to call it, where he had a ton of cars back in there. Now these are all ones that I want to say not bought on speculation, but bought under the guys that because they'll go up in value. I mean, because the majority of them were Ferraris. He had Testarossas, had some 512 TRs, but he had some nice Porsches in there too. Older Porsches, new Porsches, Acura NSX. It had a lot of cool stuff that they're going to go up in value. So it's more kind of an investment thing. And as the kid that was walking us around said, hey, the guys got some kids headed off to college soon. Right there's your college, paying for your college education. So, but again, hey, you get a special client, they're looking for something, you have it in stock, it's right there. It's kind of an off-market private sale thing. You don't put it out there, you don't advertise much. Again, these guys don't put all their cars out. And that's something you're going to find for all you people out there shopping around. And that's kind of one of the things, a lot of these boutique dealers and that do not advertise all the cars that they have available for sale. And that's where someone like myself comes in, and what I do finding these off-market cars is I know these people, I know these dealers, so I can give them a ring, and if I ask for something specific or I say, hey, what do you got good that's kind of off-market, I got a client, they'll let me know. Now, it ain't just Joe Schmo calls up there and goes, oh, no, we don't have anything like that. No, everything's on the website, blah, blah. So it's kind of, it's a close-knit network of individuals that, hey, we're looking out for the client, and then we want to make the client happy, but the fact is, hey, you bring more clients, sell more cars, hey, everyone makes more money, so it's kind of like rub my back, rub your back type deal. But anyways, that wrapped up the first day, and then Tuesday morning was we went over to Merit Partners. Now, I don't know how many of you guys watch on Shmee 150 on YouTube. Old Tim, he was actually there a few weeks ago. He did a nice video on it. But I know the guys there for a little while, so I want to go there and meet these guys and just check out the facility. Again, they're another one where they have a very small amount of cars on their website compared to what they actually have in inventory. Now, where they're located, you would not know that that's where it was there. You would drive by it 1,000 times and not realize that there's an exotic car dealership tucked away back in this industrial corner where all these buildings are at. You have no clue. I mean, they have a small sign, but it's not like they got all these cars parked out front or anything like that. You'd have no idea. It's behind the gate. You got to get buzzed in. So you go in, and they just spent, he told me it was like, excess of $1 million in regards to remodeling and refurbishing this building that they're in. And it's gorgeous inside. And, they still had a few little touch-up things here to do. They had to put in one bar top and everything like that, but absolutely gorgeous. it's going to be perfect. From my point, and what I would do if I was always saying, have events there, whatnot, bring people in, do kind of stuff like that. It's going to be perfect for it. But as soon as you walk in, they had an F50, you had a couple of Carrera GTs, a Ford GT, a new Ford GT, the newer one, and just some absolute beautiful stuff. But again, you go out into, I won't say the warehouse, but where they have a majority of other cars, because they also, not only the cars that they have available for sale that they own, they also do consignment. So they have a plethora of cars available, and I mean some very, very, very unique, very rare stuff. So if you're looking for something unique and rare, give me a call and I'll hook you up with the guys at Merit, and I'll help you guys out. Like I said, they have some really, really cool stuff and very rare stuff. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for something unique, something rare, get a hold of me. I'll get you hooked up with the guys at Merit and get you taken care of. So, but that was really cool meeting those guys. So then on Wednesday afternoon, since I was in Atlanta, and Jacksonville was only a little over 5-hour drive away, I was like, well, screw it. No, I'm just going to drive there. Why fly? I didn't want to deal with the hassle of the airport, because Atlanta airport's a nightmare. That's when there's flew through there. And at the end of this podcast tonight, when I left, it was a fucking nightmare. Pardon my French. But so I had rented. Actually, I don't know if anyone's heard of Sixt, SIXT car rental. Fantastic. If you're at a major city that has Sixt as a car rental company, use them. They have nice BMWs, Mercedes. I mean, they got nice cars, and they're very, very reasonably priced. I was going to rent a 5 Series, but I got in about 4 hours earlier than I was supposed to be, and the car that I was supposed to have either wasn't back yet or ready or whatnot. So the kind lady behind the desk said, well, I got a 7 Series, and it's supposed to be about another $30-some a day, but I'll only charge you $20 more a day. And I was like, all right, so what's my total? Basically, for that Tuesday all the way to the following Monday, which was basically 7 days, cost me $782 for a BMW 7 Series. Unlimited miles, everything. So it worked out perfect. And what's better than a 7 Series to go on a nice little road trip from Atlanta down to Jacksonville and back. So Wednesday afternoon, I hopped in. Now, unfortunately, traffic was a little bit kind of crap on the way out, but for some reason, I could not get the phone and everything to sync up to work right, so I could talk hands-free to the phone while I was driving. So I kept getting a couple phone calls, important phone calls, so I kept having to pull over, turn off the car, and then make my phone call and talk, and then get back on and go on the road. So 5-hour drive and taking almost 7 hours because I had to keep stopping. Now, the one was a very important one, but there's a funny one because at one point I just got off on an off ramp, and just as I got to halfway off the off ramp, I was going down. I just pulled off to the end of where the guardrail's at, so it's nice out of the way. So one of the AAA guys, like within 5 minutes, was up behind me, puts a sign, whatever. I'm trying to wave him, hey, no, I'm good. I'm just on a phone call. So then I had to get going, and I had to go drive, around the thing. So it was kind of humorous. I felt bad for the guy. I know he thought he was going to come and help me and everything like that. But anyways, so I got down to Jacksonville. I got in a day early, so I was able to rummage up a hotel room actually on Amelia Island. It wasn't bad. It was only $130 for the one night. And, if you drove past it, you would think it's some shit box motel. It was decent size, but it was one of those, your entry to your room is outside, so it's a 2-story job, one of those, Motel 6 type situations, or Red Roof Inn or something like that, I guess you would call it. But I tell you what, it was completely redone. And kudos to my one good friend, Andrew. He's the one that said, hey, there's still rooms available on Amelia actually itself. So I went and checked it out. Now, the funny thing was they had rooms available for the whole weekend. But the problem was on Friday, they jumped up to almost $400 a night. Now, I went to the person behind the desk and said, look, you have rooms here. Why not just give me the room for the $140 a night? I'll take it all the way through till till Sunday, because I had to drive back up Sunday night back to Atlanta. But no, there's a concourse going on this weekend. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That's what I'm in town for. So I'm like, all right, fine. No money compared to some money? I don't know. I'd take some money over no money. So, hey, then the room sat there empty. No skin off my back. So I ended up staying, out by the Jacksonville airport, because it's about 25, 30 minutes from, Jacksonville over to Amelia Island to get to where the stuff's at, because of traffic. And I don't know if I've ever been to it. Once you get onto the island itself, it's a lot of 2-lane stuff. So, and there's a lot of traffic going on. So it takes you a little bit to get anywhere. So anyways, but it was really cool because I got to, I got up early on Thursday morning, went and watched the sunrise, everything like that, and just kind of relaxed and chilled, and went to the first auction. Now I went to the Gooding auction, did the preview and everything like that because it really didn't start till 3 o'clock that day on Thursday, but they had all the preview stuff. But I got there right at 9 when it opened up, so basically there was nobody there. I think there was maybe 15 of us walking around checking all the cars, so it was really, really cool. Now here's a stupid thing. So I go in, I pay to get in. It was $40 to get in. Now I have my GoPro with me because obviously it's a little more, easier to handle. I have it on the handles, go around and do it to shoot video. Well, since I didn't have a media pass, I got asked to not film with the GoPro. And now here's the stupid part. Oh, you can use your phone though. Use your phone all you want to shoot video, but we can't have you using your GoPro, looking professional like that if you don't have media credentials. I'm like, whatever. Does that make sense to you? It's one half or one or the other. Either I'm filming with my phone or this GoPro. There's no difference. So I fine. So I broke out my handle for my phone, mounted on that, and just used my phone to do everything then. So I shut all the video on my phone. So I was like, fine. Don't want to use a GoPro, I use my phone to do it. So now here's a cool thing. They had some really nice stuff this year at Gooding. Now they're David and his crew, they curate quite a nice selection of cars, but this year they did very, very well in regards to, I guess you'd say, the selections they had. Normally you have kind of a lot of, leaning towards one genre or something like that. And, in years past, it's like they had a lot of like more pre-war stuff, like Duesenbergs, Packards, that kind of stuff. Now this year, they had like one Duesenberg, they had, I think, 2 Packards. They didn't have that much old pre-war stuff. Everything else was, from your 50s on up. They had some 40s stuff like that, but basically everything was, I would say, newer, post-war stuff. But man, they had some awesome stuff. They had one of my all-time favorite cars, a 500E. I absolutely love those cars. One of these days, I'm going to have one of those. They're getting priced ridiculous. I should have bought one 5-6 years ago when they were about 40, 50 grand, because now they're about 80, 90 grand, depending on mileage, and trying to find one with low miles. I just got offered one. If I had the money. If I have one, it's got 47,000 miles on it. It's a 94, so it's an E500, the one I'd want. The last year for it, and anyone that knows what that car is, it's a collaboration with Porsche and Mercedes. It was kind of, they wanted to have the sports sedan, but it kind of helped out Porsche in a way financially. Kind of gave them that project, gave them some nice influx of cash, but those cars are phenomenal. They're just great. Talk about a sleeper. Granted, back then, but in the early 90s, 322 horsepower was a lot, especially in a sedan like that from Mercedes. So, it's still, right, this day and age, 320 horsepower, it's nothing to sneeze at. So that car will get up and go, but that thing will cruise at, 90, 100 miles an hour, no sweat. That thing's one of these days, I'm going to have one. So, some things come to fruition in the coming months here with some deals I'm working on. I'm buying one. After I get my Ferrari, though. I'm on that hunt for that 430 manual. So, anyways. But here's the interesting thing, though. Going through, they had a nice selection of, obviously awesome cars. They had an awesome, cool selection of motorcycles, too. Not a lot. I think they had like 15 motorcycles, 20 motorcycles, maybe. They had some gorgeous Ducatis. But it's funny because a buddy of mine, Paul Jason, he's kind of a big-time motorcycle guy, motorcycle broker over in the UK. I actually had taken some photos, sent it to him, and he was actually, later, he was actually on the phone bidding, and when one of the bikes came across, and I had sent it to him when it came over. Oh yeah, that was me actually on the phone bidding. I was like, I thought that was you, so it was kind of humorous. But here's the interesting thing. Now I was checking out the estimates. They give you a range. If you ever gone to an auction, they have their estimated range. They have their low end, high end thing. And all right, this car will sell between $250,000 to $350,000. They kind of put an estimate to it. So people can have a general idea what they think it might be going for, to give them an idea. But here's the crazy thing. I would say not every single auction item, car that went across, but a majority, and I mean with majority, I'm talking 90%, maybe even a little bit more than that, all went for below the low estimate. So I don't know if that's a sign of market adjustment or just what's going on because of the economy, but this was at all the auctions. Now, some of them A couple of them did a little better in regards to hitting that high estimate or going above it, but those are for some very special and very unique, very rare cars, very desirable cars. So it's like, hey, that's understandable. But at a majority of these auctions, all these cars were going for below the low estimate, and not just by a little bit. A lot of them were pretty significant. There was a 355 GTS Brunetta that it had their estimated price range on it was, I think it was 220 to 250 or something like that, or 180 to 225, something like that. But anyways, it only had 22,000 miles or 27,000 miles. Like, gorgeous silver with this tan interior. You don't see that often, but silver with tan, and I'm not a fan of light colored interior tan, but this thing looks sharp in that color combo. A 6-speed manual, 150 grand. So all in, you're about $168,000 with your fees and everything. That was a steal. And another one at another auction, same thing. It went for around the same price, way below the low estimate. So people were getting deals at the auctions down at Amelia Island. So I mean, if you had a pocketbook and you had deep pockets, it was a time to do some buying and to sit on some of these cars, and come back with them, just bringing the market, I don't know, a year or two, anyways, down the road. I mean, that's one of those situations where I had a boatload of money, or I won the lotto or something like that. I was with that lucky bastard that won like the $1 billion or whatever, and walked with $700 million. God, I would have had a heyday down there this year. I mean, they had some awesome stuff. You had your obligatory, F50s, F40s, 280 GTOs, but they had some Bugatti EB110 SSs there. They were stunning, absolutely stunning. But they had some just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff and very neat stuff. And then the Broad Arrow had a fantastic, another one of my favorite cars, RS200 Evolution. Now you can get, the standard RS200, I believe it had 260, 280 horsepower, something like that. They had to homologate X amount of cars, but they did 24 or 26 Evo cars that were basically the ones they used for the Group B rallying that would have done. But these things pushed out 700 horsepower. This is a tiny little car, and I don't know, maybe if you're Ken Block fans, he had one that he absolutely loved. God rest his soul. That was such a sad tragedy that he passed. But anyways, that's another one of my all-time favorite cars. Another one, an F40. So my goal, kind of as a side note, because I said I'm trying to get more content, do these podcasts more frequently, but also trying to grow my YouTube channel. Now, the YouTube channel, the general one is Garage 65. Now, you spell 65, S-I-X-T-Y, and the number 5. So if you look up at Garage 65, you'll find all my content. Now, I do have some of the ones broken down where I'm going to post for just as Ferrari or just the Porsche Marketplace or the Ferrari Marketplace. We're trying to expand over, but then again, like what we're doing with our media company, we're going to have these garage tours. We have a lot of things we're going to be doing that are going to be super, super cool. So keep informed, keep in tune, and hey, we're going to have a newsletter coming out that you can sign up for that kind of keeps you up to date on what's going on, because we're going to also be doing like events, stuff like that. So we've got a lot of cool stuff that we're getting in the works here. Hopefully by mid-end summer, we'll start having some of these, and then for 2024, we'll really kind of start rolling out with a lot of cool stuff. So stay tuned. Got a lot of cool stuff coming. But anyways, back to the auction. Now, like I was saying before, there was some really, really cool stuff. You could have gotten some great deals on some, very, very nice cars. Very, very well maintained. Now, I am not a big fan of people or buying cars at an auction. Because here's my pet peeve, is you can have all the information you want. You could do your research on the car. You got the VIN, everything like that. But you're basically only getting the description that the auction house is giving you. You can't get in the car unless you know one of the people and they're very kind. So, yeah, go ahead. You can't start it. You can't drive it. So basically you're going on the word of the auction house and the current owner telling the auction house, hey, yeah, the car's great. Oh, it's got all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So you have to really scrutinize the car as it just sits there. So, I mean, the only time you hear it run is when they drive it up to the auction block, and normally then it's so far away, you can't hear it. So there's no way of knowing. So to me, I don't think it's the great way to go about buying. And plus, the other aspect of it is the fees you have to pay. Now, some years ago, they used to crack you on both sides. The buyer and the seller had to pay fees on top of what it cost to put your car in it. So it was like the seller was having to pay like 10, 12% of whatever the selling price was. Then the buyer was paying like 15 to 18% fees. So they were cracking basically almost 25 to 30% on top of what the selling price was that would go on top in fees. So imagine that. So if you bought $1 million car, it's for easy numbers, you were having to pay another $250,000 just in fucking fees. I mean, that is obscene. I'm sorry I'm swearing, but I just don't get it. Now, with the advent, because COVID came around and all these online auction houses came online, obviously BAT was the forerunner of this. They broke the barriers. So you have all these other ones that have come out now. But, they broke it down to, okay, like BAT is $5,000 maximum. That's what your cap is. And, you have to, pay X amount of dollars. I think it's $100. And they might be free now because I know Cars and Bids, it's free to post whatnot. And theirs is a 4.5% cap. The maximum you pay, but the maximum you pay is $4,500. But you'll pay up to $4,500 is 4.5% of what the selling price is. So Doug DeMurro's put together a great thing on it now. But you have so many other ones out there that are following that pattern or that business model. Is we're only going to cap you at a maximum of $4,000 to $5,000. That's it. And your fees, up to that are 4.5% to 5%. So hey, you $100,000 car, hey, you're capped at $4,500. So I mean, it's fantastic. So I think these auction houses realize, hey, we're going to have to cut our fees and do it. They try and say, oh, well, it's the atmosphere. Oh, this, we have the selection of cars, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? I don't buy that. That's just not me. I'm not going to pay an extra, 20, 30, 40 grand, whatever it may be in fees just because of the ambiance. Hey, that's you put that together. I can go find these cars somewhere else. I don't need to come out and cap it here. Now the one thing is, these auctions usually kind of sometimes do is kind of set market rates and everything, because you'll have clients and deal with them. They'll be like, well, that car just sold for X at Amelia or at XYZ auction, and why are you asking so much more? Well, it's like, okay, well, that car there, which wasn't disclosed, whatnot, had been an accident or whatnot. Again, not knowing the whole story, and this is an uneducated consumer, not doing their homework and not, believing in what something is and not just listening. They just talk. They don't know the full story behind what that car, why it sold for, what it sold for, why you're selling your car, what it's for, So it's just, it's sometimes like pulling teeth, and these people just don't get it. So it can be really, really freaking annoying sometimes with it's an uneducated consumer, and it's just very, very annoying. But anyways, back to the auctions. So as I was stating, there's a lot of these cars, good portion of these cars, were going for below estimate. So I mean, and again, it was some really nice stuff, and it was just kind of a head scratcher. Say, man, some people are getting some great deals and we're going home with some great cars. And that was the thing is, normally when you have your low estimates and that stuff, that's usually about where the reserve's at. So these reserves that these owners had in these cars were very, very low because these cars were selling. They were hammered, and which was absolutely crazy. That was the other baffling thing, was they had super low reserves on these cars. Normally, the reserve's up there by the low estimate. So if it's not even getting a low estimate, that car ain't moving. But people didn't, either they needed the cash, they needed the room, they didn't want to take the car back home or what. But these cars were selling. So the transport companies were having a heyday, that's for sure. So, and there's another one that make out either way because, hey, the car doesn't sell, they got to take it back home. Hey, they're double dipping. So, but I mean, if you've never been to Amelia, I highly suggest you go. The auctions are really, really cool. Yeah, it costs you a little bit to get in, but it's really neat because you kind of get up close to the cars. Now, let's talk about the Concours itself. Now, on Friday, they had the Porsche Works reunion. It's a Porsche event, and this year is 75 years of 9/11. So, kind of, last year was Ferrari's total 75 years. The 9/11 was 75 years, or however it is. Anyways, a Porsche. I don't know. Anyways, it's one of their anniversary years. I could be mistaken. I don't know. Anyways, this is onward and upward, right? But anyways. So that was kind of cool, not very big, but it seemed to be there was better action over in the car park where people were parking. That all the Porsches were, all the Porsche Club members were parking than actual cars that were out on the lawn. They had some neat stuff, very interesting stuff, and luckily we were able to get in for free because the event is free to get in, but it's $40 to park. So there you go. So it's kind of a joke. So basically it's $40 to get in. But anyways, we were able to snag a free parking to get in for free as a volunteer. So it pays to know people, right? So we got in, checked out. They had some really cool stuff there. Obviously, all Porsches. Some really neat stuff. Some cool booths set up, for buying some, I guess, trinkets and memorabilia and stuff like that. They had a really cool one. You could buy, they had scale models, from the real small stuff all the way up to some bigger stuff, which is really, really neat. Then Saturday, they put on, and if you buy your ticket for Sunday, it gets you into Saturday's event also. So you might as well just buy it, because if you're going Sunday, you buy it. So, but Sunday's tickets, it's $175. Now it's gone up dramatically in price, especially since Harry took it over, because now they're about making money. Now when Bill Warner was running that, it wasn't about, they needed to make money, but it was more about making the money to put the donations to the charities they were supporting. So they dumped a lot back in. And I've had some great conversations with Bill, and he always tells me you're nuts if you ever want to put on Concours, because it's just pain in the ass. But he had told me, it was like 8-9 years before he even could kind of pay himself anything out of it for all his work and effort in doing it. So it took a long time. They started that in 95, I think it was 96, something like that, in the mid 90s. So it really has been going on all that long. I guess you could say compared to Pebble and stuff like that. But anyways, so Saturday they have the Radwood event, which is, as everyone probably knows, is your 80s cars from my genre when I was in my youth driving my cars. When I was 16 in 1986, I had my Fiero GT. Well, I started with the Mazda GLC, then I went to a Fiero GT. I love that Fiero. That thing was so cool. Then I had a Mustang GT. So I connect well with that stuff. They had some really cool stuff. It's stuff that back from your youth that you see that kind of stirs up old memories and everything like that. So they have that set up, and then you go over to the actual show field where the concourse takes place. That's where they have a lot of the, I could say, nicer stuff for the Radwood type stuff. But they have other things set up that are, oriented towards that genre. They call it Cars and Community. So it's kind of bring whatever, what you drove. And I'm not sure how you register for that. But you come in, you park your car, check it out. So it's not, no judge or anything goes out, but just walk around. And there's a lot of people for that, because obviously if you're going Sunday, you're going to that Saturday because your ticket got you in. But now if you just want to go Saturday, which actually is not too bad if you just go Saturday, because you can see a lot of stuff that, that you really don't have to worry about seeing on Sunday. But anyway, it's only like $35 going on Saturday. So if you just go Saturday, you're fine. You really don't need to go on Sunday. It's all, all personal preference. But they had some really cool stuff up, Now, which was neat, they had the cars from Jeff Gordon set up. Ed Bullen was there with his stuff, and the guys, Tavares was there. So was Mr. Tyler Hoover was there. They had brought some stuff. What was really cool, back over in the one corner, they had, on Saturday, they had 5 959s lined up, because it was kind of a separate class. Now, Sunday, they had 7 959s parked there, which that's a rarity in itself, seeing 7 959s parked all together. Now, then you go around, Saturday. Again, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of neat booth setup. It's a lot more casual, T-shirt, shorts kind of thing. Now, Sunday, obviously, is the Concours event itself. Now, that's when it gets really packed. And obviously, you kind of want to dress nicer. Now, it gets pretty warm, so you kind of got dressed. But like I wore short sleeve shirt, I wore some nice pants, kind of got to look to roll. Got to meet Jeff Gordon, which was really cool. Talked to him, briefly. Brought up our Feuerbach project. Talked to him real quick. Super nice guy, very approachable. So if you ever get the opportunity, he'll chat you up. He's a super cool guy. So anyways, going to there, you check out. This is now where they have the judging goes on. They have all the classes broken down into regards to what cars are which group, everything like that. So they get all judged by their class, their car itself, but then in that class, gorgeous Ferraris. Oh my God, they had some gorgeous Ferraris. Some really cool stuff, and they had some old stuff. There was a 59 Pininfarina Cabriolet. There's a 195 Inter, or was it 212 MM. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Check out my videos on YouTube channel, Garage 65. You'll see all the stuff in there. They had some gorgeous Ferraris set up. Absolute outstanding. They had, Porsche had a really nice setup with a lot of their cars. They had a lot of cool Porsche race cars going across the years. So some really good. And again, what's nice is you can get right up on these cars. These things aren't like behind velvet ropes or anything like that. Check. It's really cool. So, but I mean, you get there. Does it pay they have an early entry. It starts at 9:30, but you can get in for an extra $50. Get in at 8:30. Early entry. They limit it, but if you see how many people do the early entry, I don't even know it's worth it because it's pretty busy as it is then. So, but anyway, I didn't do it. I went at right at 9:30, but I needed to drive back to Atlanta, so I put it down to right 1 o'clock. I was leaving. In all honesty, from 9:30 to about noon, 12:30, I'd seen everything. I walked around, checked out what I did, did all my videos, talked to who I needed to talk to, and got everything done. So I mean, the judging and stuff doesn't happen until later in the afternoon. So I mean, it goes late into the day. So I mean, it can be for a long day, But hey, you're staying there. God bless you. But I had to get back to Atlanta because I had an early flight in the morning on Monday. So I needed to get to the airport early, and thank God I did because TSA was an absolute nightmare. It took me over an hour to go through TSA, and luckily I got an early flight and got home fine. But anyways, but the big thing is, like I was kind of talking about, this is the second year that Haggerty has owned the event. Now, last year going, you can kind of see a big difference in regards to the quality of cars, the amount of cars they had there. And again, this year too, they don't seem to get the amount of cars that Bill was getting. Because here's the thing, Bill Warner did not charge you to have your car in the event. Didn't charge you. Haggerty is charging you to bring your car and have it in the event. So there's a big change there. So that's why a lot of people said screw that. And it ain't cheap. I'm not exactly sure, but normal Concours you're talking $150, $200. I think they charge $500 to $600, maybe something like that. And I could be wrong. So if I am wrong, shoot me an email, correct me. I haven't really looked into it, but it ain't cheap. So they're charging people now to have their cars in the show. So there's a big change right there. So, but notice the big difference is there's a lot less cars there, and I wouldn't say by half, but pretty close to half the amount of cars that Warner would usually get. Now the quality's there, that's for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but it's just you don't have the same amount of cars that you go around and look at. So, and again, they get kind of heavy with the pre-war stuff, and those cars are absolutely gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. The craftsmanship and watching how those things. I mean, absolutely beautiful cars, beautiful craftsmanship. You get up and look at these cars. I mean, it's unbelievable what they did back then with just hand tools, doing everything by hand. They didn't have all this stuff that they have this day and age. Everything was done by hand. So absolutely stunning stuff. So, but I mean, it's getting there. It's going to take them some time. A few more years. I think they'll get in the groove. But I think they're going to have to tweak a few things to bring back the amount of quality of cars that they've had in the past. So they got some work to do. But hey, they're getting, they're doing all right. They've acquired a few other events around the country, so they're getting a lot of practice. That's for sure. So, but anyways. The one other thing I did not mention, I forgot to mention, is because Saturday morning we were going to go early, but it was raining. So we said, well, we were going to go to the Brumos Collection, so we did that first instead. Now, if you're ever in Jacksonville, I highly recommend go to the Brumos Collection and check it out. Absolutely phenomenal facility. Dan Davis, the owner, he owned Brumos Porsche and the dealerships. He sold them a few years back. He kept the Brumos name. He kept all the vintage race cars and all that and stuff like that. He has a lot of them. So he built this gorgeous facility. It's kind of, they took off a reminiscent of the Ford plant that was in Jacksonville. Super cool. Exposed brick. It's a gorgeous facility. If you're in Jacksonville, please go. And a lot good 2 to 3 hours to go through it. Super nice people to walk you around with, kind of go everything, but nice interactive displays. I mean, it's super cool. Definitely go to the Brumos Collection if you're down in Jacksonville, Florida. So, anyways, that's a wrap it up. I know this was kind of a thing about talking about everything. See me kind of, talk about some Porsche, talk about some Ferrari, stuff like that. But this is more about, hey, just what I did over the Amelia Island weekend. Talk a little bit about the auctions and that kind of stuff. So, kind of a mismatch. And, hey, this is kind of actually one of the longest episodes I've done. I wasn't sure I was going to even get 10 minutes out of this, but look at that. It's almost 45 minutes long. Hey, so if you got stuck in traffic, this is a good one to listen to, right? But anyways, again, I really appreciate everybody listening and doing the downloads. We're getting up there. We're creeping up there. We're getting there, so I really appreciate it. So spread the word. Put it out there. Again, check out the websites, the FerrariMarketplace.com, ExoticCarMarketplace.com. We've got a lot of new content coming. We've got a lot more collaborations coming. So sign up. I can't sign up yet for the newsletter, but it's coming. So once we get that kind of up and going, just keep an eye on it. Check out the YouTube channel, Garage 65. Very simple because it kind of just covers everything. I got the subset ones for the Ferrari Marketplace, the Porsche Marketplace, where those will be, brand specific. I can get that out. But Garage 65, we're going to do a lot of cool stuff. I want to go check out museums. We're going to check out fabricators. We're going to check out a bunch of stuff and just have some fun with it. And here's our goal with all this. Now, we're going to acquire cars and whatnot to drive and have some fun with, go to Cars Coffee and kind of have those interact with it. And also what we're going to do is to help support. I'm a big advocate for Make-A-Wish. I'm a wish granter of Make-A-Wish and also a huge animal advocate. I volunteered at a few animal shelters, so we're going to try and coordinate and help do what we can with the cars to help these, help Make-A-Wish, help these children, get what they want, help them out, but also help these animal shelters and find these, these beautiful animals, their forever homes. So we're going to try and make this, beneficial to everybody involved. So try and raise money. But our big goal, we want to buy an F40. Because what we want to do with this F40 is we're going to drive it. We're going to drive the shit out of it. We're going to take people for drives. We're going to go all over the place. We're going to take these kids from Make-A-Wish, take them for rides. So we're going to do a lot with this car. So if you can, please like and subscribe. Pass this around, because the more we can get, we can generate the revenue. We can get up there. We can get this F40 and go and have a lot of fun with it and just have everyone else enjoy it and do everything we can to not only help these kids, have some fun with it, or go into probably the worst times of their lives, battling these diseases they have, but also help raise money for these animal shelters and find these animals their new forever homes. So, again, I really, really appreciate everybody listening. Sorry, this one kind of rambled a bit, but hey, you know what? I hope you guys enjoy it. Next week, new episode coming up. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about next week. I haven't thought about it, so it'll be something fun and exciting. So we'll see. So, guys, I appreciate it. Everybody take care. Have a good one. And until next time, appreciate it.
This episode has been brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports as part of our Motoring Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, tune in each week for more exciting and educational content from organizations like the Exotic Car Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Break Fix, and many others. If you'd like to support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network, sign up for one of our many sponsorship tiers at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Please note that the content, opinions, and materials presented and expressed in this episode are those of its creator, and this episode has been published with their consent. If you have any inquiries about this program, please contact the creators of this episode via email or social media as mentioned in the episode.